Hey there, before we jump into today's show, this episode is brought to you by Gladly, and I've got to tell you, they're changing the game when it comes to customer service. Now, if you tried dealing with duplicate tickets or fragmented conversations across all your channels, you'll love what Gladly does. They really bring everything all together. Think chat, email, phone, social media, everything all together in one seamless conversation that really is centered more around the customer and not just a ticket number. And what really caught my eye when I read some of the case studies on their website was just how many of the best direct-to-consumer brands, think like Allbirds and Bombas, Rockies, Third Love, there's a whole pile of them here, they're all using Gladly's platform to boost their agents' productivity. And imagine your team having a complete view of each customer's history, which means faster resolutions and happier customers who keep coming back. And I've seen the numbers. I know their clients are getting incredible ROI while building stronger customer relationships. So if you're ready to transform your operations, you should go totally check them out. They're at gladly.com, and you can join over 300 of the world's most successful brands.
You're listening to eCommerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, hey there, welcome back to eCommerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the very complex landscape that's happening right now with merchants. A lot of merchants, unfortunately, are juggling a lot of ad platforms. Quite a few years back, there was this iOS update we called the post iOS 14, all these tracking problems that have happened. And really what that has done moving forward is that it's left a lot of people guessing about marketing dollars that are actually driving results. And, if you've ever felt kind of overwhelmed or just trying to figure out the sense of your data or maybe the frustration of wasted ad dollars, I can guarantee you're not alone. And that's one of the reasons why I have my guest on today, Gurami, and he's from a company called MyDataNinja. And he's a serial entrepreneur. He's a Harvard Business School alum. And like I said, his platform that he has built with him and his team really help unify all of your e-commerce metrics into kind of one dashboard. And we're going to dig into this in a few minutes. But the whole idea is he has really deep experience both in digital marketing and lead gen, and he understands about how do you scale a direct-to-consumer brand across these multiple channels and countries. And he really has firsthand experience and has kind of experienced a lot of the pain points that Shopify merchants like you guys all face when it comes to tracking. Definitely the attribution is a big key right here. And then really making smart decisions with your marketing dollars. And that's the reasons why I have him on today on the show. I'm hoping that we can kind of, peel the onion, so to speak, or crack the code. How do we transform all of this data that is available and get that into actionable insights and really kind of optimize your marketing spend? And that's really my main goal today. Is I think there's a lot of unfortunate wasted spend that's happening right now. And I'm here with my guest, Gurami, and we're going to talk about, how we can focus on building a brand that your customers will love and that you're executing with your dollars efficiently. So, hi, Gurami. Welcome to eCommerce Fastlane.
Hello, Steve. Thank you for the great introduction. It's a pleasure being here. And I agree that lots of businesses have this problem, and one of the businesses have been mine, actually, 15 years ago. That's how the story starts.
Yeah.
And with my own e-commerce, and I have this e-commerce business and also the digital advertising agency, and I always had a trouble to seeing where this money goes and how we can automate things and how we can scale faster and all this required to see the data in real time to make smarter and faster decisions, right? So you can scale, and that's why we went into this whole.
Yeah, love it. I know, as I mentioned at the top of the show, it seems that there is this, I don't call it a data dilemma, I believe, because I get enough DMs and social and done enough podcast recordings, that I know that Shopify merchants really are drowning in data because they believe they should be on a lot of different platforms and be where their customers are. And I understand that multi-channel kind of mindset and getting out there. But like, from your perspective, like, what are some of the mistakes that you see brands do when it comes to maybe tracking or interpreting their marketing performance?
So one of the first issues is with just the pixels, right? Because there have been many updates, many restrictions, and many problems with cookies and so on. I will not go too deep into that technical side, but one of the biggest issues is that data into ad networks is sometimes not usable. Either they are kind of manipulated, or you see lots of purchases or less purchases than you really have, and sometimes your operations are different. Some companies sell or like after the call or not online. So this is all the trouble. So you need lots of integrations, lots of tracking issues to solve, and this is kind of messy, right?
Yeah.
And the companies don't really understand where the revenue is coming. And then it's a quote. You probably know that half of my money went somewhere in the advertising, and you don't know where, right?
Yeah.
Which is profitable and which not, and you are just spending it blindly. And this is the biggest issue, in my opinion. That's what we are trying to fix, actually.
Yeah. So I'd argue that there's a lot of, I call them data blind spots. This is kind of the words that I use, but do you have any examples of businesses that you've worked with that they believe that they have these blind spots in their data, and I guess they just don't know what they don't know. You can't see the forest for the trees, so to speak. They have all this data and they're spending money, and they believe they have a reasonable blended ROAS, but that's really not the way to run and execute a world-class business today. It's just a blended ROAS number. And so I'm just curious if you have the same mindset that I do around this kind of data blind spot.
Yeah, totally agree. Because the businesses we work, some of them had lots of advertising accounts, right? And it was really hard to manage so many advertisements, so many products to advertise and test. Because in that digital advertising, we know that it's the most important thing is to test. So you need to test everything, like every angle, every product, every price, upselling or bundling the items and so on. So if you want to be successful at scale, you need to test a lot. And to test fast, you need proper tracking system, and you need to see data right away. You should not wait and then getting the Excels and spreadsheets and bundling the data somehow to see the real results. So that's one of the biggest issues with the businesses. And only blended rows, and especially with JavaScript-based pixel or so on, it's really bad idea to work with.
Yeah.
But another problem, actually, I have seen with lots of businesses in e-commerce is that sometimes they don't have only online sales, like a cart sales, but they have offline sales, like a installment loans, which can happen offline, or cash on delivery, right? Which is also one of the biggest direction in e-commerce. And this is really an issue because user is leaving your website, so you can use the pixel and you can fire the event once they bought, because they bought when you delivered and they paid by cash. So this issue, so you need the server-side tracking, which need to be worked properly. Then there are returns, there are cancellations, and then it gets messy again. Even if you have the server-side tracking with the advertising networks, you need to update those orders to see the real ROAS and real ROI on your investment. So it's kind of a challenging stuff. So you need either developers and the people who understand all this stuff, or you need some software, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%. All right. So I have a question about the kind of, I'm going to call it the post iOS 14 tracking issue. And I know this was, quite a few years back, but the challenge was that now it's a little bit of a walled garden now from Apple, and I think the long-term play for Apple was, hey, you're on our Apple devices, and so we want to own the data, and we're going to choose to use it the way we want to use it. We're not going to share it publicly. And that caused a lot of problems, even with Apple Mail, and it got all crazy. And so it come down to this whole attribution problem and tracking problem, and it's turned into this nightmare, I'm going to call it, for brands. And so how does MyDataNinja kind of help merchants kind of, I guess, get some clarity and some confidence now in their ad performance, knowing that a lot of people are using Apple devices, because mobile is 70% of most traffic to most websites, and the fact that this data is not being shared publicly. So maybe you can let me know how MyDataNinja is helping with that.
Yeah, sure. So it was really hard timing after iOS, because even for the Facebook, the algorithms changed a lot, right? So before that, the stores and the companies were using just CPA targeting and bidding on the Facebook or even in the Google. Then it became harder, so algorithm could not track well, and it needed more data to be fed, right? So to get that at least same results you had before. And MyDataNinja is trying to, and even now there is a problem that soon we'll have the cookieless situation, because we are going there, right? So that's where we are trying to come on the market and help the customers. And so that's why we have actually the cookieless tracking. And this is really important, because as we don't use cookies, we are solving lots of headaches for the future.
Right.
And one of the things how we are doing all this is that our pixel is generating the unique customer ID, and then we are tracking each and every click the users are going to our customer's website. And then we are trying to send this by server side, so all the data is more accurate and trackable by all this functionality, and it helps a lot. Some of our customers are using third-party providers for server-side tracking,
right,
to send the data, but we are developing the feature to send data on our own to the advertising platforms, which will be pretty soon, in a month, I guess. And this will build all the ecosystem in MyDataNinja. So what we are going to do is that once a user visits our customer's website, he is tracked without cookies, and then we can send, if he makes a purchase or whatever the action we decide to send, we will send to Facebook, Meta, and Google by server-side tracking, which will increase the accuracy and the data feeding algorithm, right? So we will get the results, much better results than just using the pixel.
Yeah, I know in the past, I've had Little Data on, and I've had Elevar on, I guess kind of the notable peers that are, I guess, trying to solve this tracking challenge that's happening. And I think what started it all, and I can remember these conversations with merchants saying that, hey, why does the data inside Shopify, let's talk GA first, just Google Analytics 4 right now. Why is the data different when I log into GA versus what Shopify is showing? And a lot of times there's 20% or more difference. And they're like, well, where is the source of truth? And I think that's a challenge, right? I think that's where the server-side tracking comes in, because you're not getting caught up in like front-end web stuff and cookies and sessions and things like that. These are like two computers talking to each other directly, and then it normalizes and makes, at least the data now being accurate.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only with the Google Analytics, but it's the same problem with the advertising platform. So and then you don't know how much sales really I have from this advertisement.
Right.
Is it really 5? Is it 10? Is it like my ROI minus or plus? So it's always a challenge. That's why we are coming here. So we are independent guys with their first party analytics and pixel, right? So we track our own, and then we are like a referee here. So we say that, okay, there is a third party we are tracking, and here is the numbers, and this is numbers from the more objective side, right? Because even ad networks are really interested sometimes to show you more sales, so you can spend more.
Yeah. I've also heard some nightmares. I'm not sure if you particularly solve this or if you're working on this, but I know there's a lot of bots that are wasting a lot of ad budgets. I think, like these fake clicks and I want to call it distorted analytics, but they're kind of distorted because they're, attempting to mimic human behavior, really inflates your click-through rate and your traffic metrics and all that. And I think, once again, that even, they're not buying anything. They're just trying to make money on advertising clicks, and it almost sabotaging a lot of businesses. Have you heard much about that? And then what's your take on some of this fake traffic that's going around the web right now?
Yes, there's always, and it was happening always, and it's going to happen in the future as well, because someone is making money out of it.
Right.
I'm not saying it's ad networks, but maybe in the middle they are doing some of it as well, and some through AdSense and so on. Some people are doing money through that, so it's going to always be there. And also there are many, let's say but through search arbitrage and so on, there are many unmotivated traffic, kind of not too related. So it's gonna always be there. That's why you need to follow all of your advertisements, and you need to understand them as fast as possible, what's working and what's not. Even if you are running Meta and you are doing a lots of tests, you will see that this very same creative, very same advertisement, and very same campaign can work differently if you just duplicate, right? That's one of the strategies people are using when advertising, so duplicating the ad groups and campaigns and so on to scale. So that's why you need to track, so you understand the numbers and what's working and what's not, and so you don't spend without any reason, without any profit, and without any target, right? So once you solve this problem and you are more efficient, you can think about the scale, and you can scale really fast.
Yeah. I've also noticed too, and I educated merchants on this. I'm saying, hey, there's a few signs, and I think that's where your platform comes in. I do want to talk about your unified dashboard in a second, but I think what I've noticed too is that to kind of spot this kind of bot activity, there's a couple of things that you want to think about. Is there like a really high click-through rate and low conversions, number one, which means lots of clicks, no sales. That usually points to bots. I'd also argue like when session duration is low, and it's typically a visit that's just there for a second or two, it's a bot. And spikes, I think, from really odd locations, I think is really interesting too. I think, if you get a sudden traffic from a certain country that you don't even serve, that's definitely a red flag. And, different IP addresses and devices and stuff, and, rapid clicking and things like that. I think these are sort of problems that I know. That's one way of trying to spot it, is thinking of these sort of things.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm from the performance digital advertising, like performance-based advertising. So I'm always looking for the CPA and the cost per sale numbers, and then the other numbers, right? So of course it's very important to have the good CTR, to have lower CPCs and so on, but everything at the end comes to the sale, right? If you don't sell, you don't need other stuff, except if you are not targeting for the brand awareness and so on. If it's not the goal, right? If the brand awareness is not the goal, then your only target is the cost per sale, most likely.
Right.
So that's why you need to measure it well, because many clients, before using MyDataNinja, are just looking for my CPC is up, my CTR is down. Of course, that's important, but sometimes CPS is really good and CTR can be low, but your CPS is really good, right? In terms of it's in your KPIs. That's why you need to have your exact goals and the KPIs, and then measure it well, most likely for the Shopify customers and the website owners, CPS.
Right. So let's talk about your unified dashboards. I think it's quite interesting because, the typical workflow, I've been guilty of this, and I've even watched the merchants that I worked with at Shopify, was they would tend to flip through a lot of different tabs. You would be in Shopify, you would be in Google Analytics, you would be in Facebook ads, you'd be in TikTok, you're going to be in Instagram, you're doing your thing. And so MyDataNinja goes about it a little differently. And so can you talk a bit about how it works and kind of what the workflow would be by having your unified dashboard?
Yeah, exactly. So this was one of the biggest challenge actually for me as well at the beginning of my e-commerce career, let's say like this, once I started the company. So you had to check different platforms, many accounts, because that's the way you scale, right? You need to advertise in many different platforms. Having the multiple accounts, multiple brands, it was really, really headache. And that's where MyDataNinja comes. That's why we developed this functionality. So you just connect as many accounts as you want from different platforms like Google Ads, Meta Ads, TikTok, and Bing. That's the platforms we're supporting right now. As many accounts, and it is all together. So one bird eye type of view. The unified dashboard where you see all the advertisements, all the data. You can filter right away, like which advertisement is bringing some profit more than this, which has like a ROI less than this. So it's really, really helpful. So, and even what's more helpful is that you can just pick the advertisements even from the different accounts and different platforms and just turn off or change the budget from the platform. So it's really helpful. So it is saving lots of time from the person using so many platforms. And also, what is really important and new, we developed the CRM system into our platform. So it's not only attribution and analytics, but CRM as well. So we gather all this data from Shopify to measure your customer lifetime value, your CAC, how many returning customers you have, and what's your average order value, and what are the best products you are selling, and what are the bundles you can do with this product. So yeah, lots of data to that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And then, so I see you have a Shopify app. Can you kind of walk us through when someone decides that, hey, you know what, I'm sick of having all of these tabs open, and I do go there, but then I'm forced to do a lot of manual kind of reporting from each individual solution and exports and all this craziness, where you kind of unify everything. So talk about the Shopify app, how it works, and kind of what the onboarding process looks like.
Yeah, so onboarding is pretty straightforward, and that was one of the challenge, because we have the clients who are using Shopify, we have clients who are using different e-commerce platforms and even custom in-house built. And it was always it was challenge for many customers at the beginning to use our application because of the integrations and so on. That's why we created this Shopify plugin, which is published already for few months in the Shopify marketplace.
Right.
You just install it and that's it. Like it's pretty straightforward. Just few minutes to have this plugin installed and connected your store to MyDataNinja. So that's it.
I see. So you connect that. So then that gets all of the customer data and imports all of that. And then you just must go through one by one. I guess you must add the app itself must add your script to it. And that kind of is what kind of gets things set up. And then from there, do you just kind of select all your ad accounts and then authorize MyDataNinja to get access to it? Is that the idea?
Yeah, the idea is that you install the plugin, then it automatically adds all the scripts to your website.
Oh, okay.
Any necessary action, so you don't need to do manually anything, except of connecting your advertising accounts to MyDataNinja as well. And that's it. Then it synchronizes all the data from advertising networks and the accounts and Shopify into one dashboard. The only thing is to wait and see the new customers and new orders going to be tracked and attributed to the advertising.
Oh, I see.
Automatic attribution with Google, with Bing and TikTok. With Facebook, we still have the manual work needed. For every advertisement, you need to add our eKin tag, which we are trying to fix and
okay
as well.
I see. And then the next thing that I have for you, it's still around the data. So we have this unified dashboard. The other challenge that I know merchants have is they need a little bit of hand holding, so to speak, where like, how do I take that data to some action? I mean, the going joke is, data is only as good as the action that it inspires is kind of the ongoing joke, but it is quite true. Like, so do you have any practical examples of like how people could use your unified dashboard and then make intelligent decisions about what they need to do next? Like, is there true hand holding and kind of like recommendation engine built into the tool? Or is it just blatantly obvious when you're kind of going through and looking at the dashboard that, something is not right here, I need to go and action this?
Yeah, so in our dashboards and in our reporting and analytics pages, you will see clearly which advertising is bringing, which is green, it's red.
Okay.
What products are working, what's not.
Okay.
And this is really helpful. So this is really straightforward. But we are currently working on developing this suggestion and recommendation system.
Okay.
And maybe with AI as well. So we are currently doing all this thinking how it should work. And because there is already so many data, so big data, and we can leverage it to give the customers more better experiences, suggestions how to improve efficiency and how to improve their numbers, right? So this is one of the things we are currently thinking and working actively, and hopefully this year we will have it as well.
Yeah, I can see the dashboard.
Normally you can just see actionable insights and ideas from the numbers you look on the dashboard.
Yeah, and I can see that too, because I'm just seeing, I like that you have like a roll up at the top about, total profit, and then it's fully, you can drill down into all the specifics, but then under that you can have like, and then they're going to be in green, and you can kind of see, the income, money spent on it. You can just see your ROI percentage, and then you can click through and then go and then get more granular. I can see and then the different colors make a lot of sense to me too, because then it kind of, every morning you kind of wake up and take a look at the previous, as a marketer or a founder, every day you log in, take a look and see, okay, well, what was yesterday's ad performance like? What's working? What's not working? There's a lot of moving parts, as we know, for successful ad campaigns. I mean, creative is probably the biggest one, but then being smart with kind of like what your budget is and day parting. And there's a lot of interesting things going on to be specific to really, how do we move more money into areas where all of a sudden there's an anomaly happening where, wow, it's raining in this market and we're selling way more umbrellas in Seattle, Washington. Maybe we better transfer more money into the ad campaigns in the Seattle, Washington market instead of running out of money. It can get quite complex and interesting, but.
Yeah, exactly. And we have also the feature to synchronize your cost of goods from the Shopify.
Oh, lovely.
And that's why we can say exactly how much net profit you got from each order, right? Because how much you spent on the advertisement to get this order, and what was the cost of goods to sell these products, right? So you have the very net profits possible per order and per advertisement. So this is really interesting and helpful when you're managing your business.
And then the other question I have too is around about integrations, because obviously, we mentioned that Shopify is certainly like the main one now. I mean, they own almost 30% of the market, I think. 5 million some stores now are running on Shopify. They are the default install for a lot of businesses. And I think a lot of mid-market and enterprise are coming over to Shopify too, now that they have commerce components and they can really, really slice off the tech stack, only use shopping cart or only use front end. People like to use Shop Pay and Shopify's checkout and things like that. What's your thought around playing nicely with other pieces of technology? Because we're adding an app into the app store or into your admin. Merchants sometimes gave me a little bit of pushback and going, I have other pieces of technology running. Is this going to affect anything else that is currently working from a marketing perspective? Like, what's your thought on that?
So, yeah, I agree totally about the Shopify, but this is the number one tool when people are thinking about e-commerce.
Yeah.
Platform, right? Even we had the clients who are using the Shopify system for the lead generation. So.
Oh, wow. just like a web hosting plan. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really popular. And regarding the other tools, we have also the plugin for WooCommerce and different type of e-commerce platforms, and we are trying to add more in the future. But regarding your question that if it can somehow be problematic for current Shopify store owners in terms of the load speed and so on. So it's asynchronous calls. It's not going to be anyhow challenging and the problematic for current store owners to start our buying. And yeah, the website load speed are not going to be a problem.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good to know. And then a lot of people are using Klaviyo maybe for email and maybe Attentive or PostScript for SMS, and there's usually lots of interesting pieces of technology that are running. But from your perspective, it's just like, hey, it's not going to affect anything from a speed perspective. It's server-side tracking. We have a unified pixel now. And so we understand, there's an identity graph, I guess, of each particular customer. We kind of know their full history and we can do some proper analysis, because that's kind of the challenge we have right now with current pixels and unfortunate attribution, especially Facebook. I don't know what their window is now, 7-day cookie expiring. It's really hard. And then they come the 8th day and all of a sudden it's like a new order and a new customer when it's actually not, right?
Yeah, let me say this, that with Klaviyo and tools like this, lots of customers are using them. And if the customer is committed and they need something something a little bit different, even report and so on, and we see that customer is committed and we need to help them, we can develop custom integration or custom reporting per customer as well. It's totally possible.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear.
And the needs. Yeah. We are trying to be flexible and helpful for the client. So we have a different type of integrations with different type of platforms up on client's needs.
Right. The other question, it might be a little bit outside of kind of what your platform does, but because you're kind of deep into this direct-to-consumer space and you're solving some great problems from an ads perspective, a lot of merchants, and just like love to hear your feedback on this about the personalization, because I feel that, people really, the ultimate goal is like, one-to-one communication, either live on the website or for sure like post when you get off the website, either through a retargeting or when they come back. You want the customer to feel like, that the brand understands them. And so I just like, what's your thought? Because sometimes I don't want personalization to be too creepy. Like consumers, there are privacy issues that are out there, but merchants also, I believe they want to deliver a kind of a tailored experience without feeling too evasive, so to speak. So what's your thought about like safe personalization tactics that you've seen right now that people are doing?
Yeah, so this is our long-term thinking as well about the so we had the idea to have a audience generator kind of like this. So
right,
because we have all this tracking of each customer, right? And we had the customer journeys actually in the database right now, but we soon present it to the customer like a feature, so you can see customer journey, what pages they visited and what they did, and so you clearly understand their past, right? And with all this in mind, we can easily create the different segments, audiences for retargeting purposes, and even suggest some default audiences so you can have more personalized approach to the client. We have this in mind and we have the possibilities, but it still needs some time to be developed and to be done really well. Currently, there are some really good platforms also to make it happen.
Yeah, this is amazing. So this has been really like eye-opening for me, and I know people listening right now, they have this particular problem, and this is useful information. It's not just interesting. I think it's very actionable, and I know your platform can certainly help people. When I talk about these disparate systems and separate logins and tabs and stuff, there is a better way. And so that's why I'm having you on the show. I only do 100 shows a year and you're one of them. And, you're on the show for a reason, because I really feel that you're solving a very unique problem. There are people trying to solve the efficiencies of ads and doing their thing. But they don't roll up all of their ad spend correctly. And they're not really giving recommendations, a little bit more of a black box going on, which it's that in itself is a little bit scary. So what do you think kind of the next steps are for people that are listening today? I have all different listeners. I have some early stage people that are just trying to get product market fit, but there's lots in the mid market and there's quite a few in the enterprise side that are listening today. What do you believe kind of the next steps are for people that if they're unhappy or they don't feel like they're being fully efficient with their time and what all their ad platforms are actually producing for them? What do you want our listeners to do next?
Yeah, so one suggestion I could have for our listeners right now is just don't waste your time and don't waste your data and don't waste your money. Just sign up to our platform. Yeah. We have 30 days free trial, unlimited, right? Unlimited free trial, and we can give you one more month for free because of your listening to us and you're really interested in today's and e-commerce. Just ping us via our live chat or email, and we're gonna extend your free trial, and you're gonna see how much we can help, and we'll try to see your tracking, see your attribution, and give you some really helpful advice from our professional team. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
just don't waste time, and we are gonna try to help you.
Yeah, I get it. Time is money. I totally get it. I think, thank you for that, by the way. I think, because I saw that by looking in the App Store, that there's a 30-day free trial if you just kind of add it yourself. But just kind of message the team through the chat solution once you install it. I kind of followed along with my demo store here while we were recording. And so it's a really easy process to add the app into your admin. So that then syncs up to your customer records and then authorize your ad platforms. And then you're good to go. And then a little bit of ingestion of legacy data. And then from there, you'll be able to refresh that dashboard and you're good to go. And gosh, having 2 months to try it out, just to kind of see, like, you just don't know what you don't know. I just, that's why I'm having you on today. I think, hey, it's just incrementality. You never know. Try it out. See what it shows you. Could it help you move the needle a bit more and be a little bit more efficient and make some better decisions? And I love the fact that you're very open about, hey, is there any kind of custom reporting or custom connections? I think giving feedback from actual users of a product and saying, hey, I love what you're doing right now. Here's my roadmap, or hey, here's a feature that I think is interesting, or here's a connection that I think would be interesting for my business. What do you think about that? And maybe getting that on potential on a roadmap and implemented. I think offering that level of service, I think, is fantastic. So, Gurami, thanks again for coming on the show and sharing today. I know you're quite far away, and I know it's nighttime for you. I appreciate the hustle to record tonight for you and mid-morning for me. But once again, thank you so much for being so transparent and sharing.
Hopefully we help your listeners somehow, and it's going to be eye-opener for some of them.
100%. Just add the app to your admin and look and see what it shows. So that's the answer. So this is lovely. Thanks again, and have yourself a great evening.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of eCommerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.